Welcome to the Rewilded Human podcast, where Dr. Lucille and Lynn will tackle your most difficult and intimate questions with candor, tough love, and a little dash of humor. In today's episode,
no need to eat either a low fat diet because you need fat to drive your hormones, to do all kinds of things, but no need to eat a high fat diet either, especially if you're anywhere between 40 and the rest of your life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rewilded Human podcast. And we have a very, very exciting episode for you guys. We have Dr. Jay Wrigley with us, and he's an expert on female hormones. He's been a functional doctor for over 30 years, and Dr. Lucille and I are so excited to have him with us. Welcome, Dr. Jay, to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn, for having me here, and Dr. Lucille. I'm excited to be a part of
you're coming to us from the Dominican Republic, correct?
I'm originally from the Charlotte, North Carolina, in the United States, but I have been pretty much living the digital nomad life for about 5 years now because all of my work is through social media and video consultations and working worldwide with people. I can be wherever I've got, the setup for, the laptop and the computer and the right kind of equipment. So, yeah, currently I am on the north coast of the Dominican Republic in a small little town called Cabarete, a small little fishing town, and enjoying it. But I think I've been here long enough. I like to move around. I think that within the next 6 months, me and Heidi are going to take off and move to somewhere else. It could be Croatia, it could be to Mexico, it could be
nice.
Many things we're looking at.
Yeah, you guys have a life very similar to ours. We've been doing the same thing, just moving around for the past 20 years, and we love it. So hope you come to Spain one day too. You're supposed to be coming to Spain or Gibraltar and visit us. That would be really awesome. Dr. J, what we did was we asked our listeners to see if they have some questions for you. So we'll start with that. And, we really want to talk about hormones and then maybe tie it in a little bit with like relationships, how hormones can affect relationships and things like that. Most of our listeners are ladies over 50, so we have a lot of really interesting questions. Lucille, do you want to start with the questions?
Yes, I'd be delighted.
Okay.
The first question comes from Jenny. Her question is how to lose weight in perimenopause, which seems impossible no matter what I do. Things that previously worked no longer work now. So frustrating.
I bet you get this a lot, right, Dr. J?
Yeah, that's something that I probably answer 14 times a day. So I feel pretty comfortable with this. So is it Jenny?
Yes, her name is Jenny.
Yes.
Okay, so hi, Jenny. And so this is Dr. Wrigley here, and you can call me Dr. J. This is a very common issue. And what is you spoke in your question kind of exactly what happens of why is it that the things that I used to be able to do to drop 5 or 6 pounds quickly no longer work for me anymore. And it's because, in its simplest form, it's because the hormonal landscape of your internal chemistry has shifted into a new direction. And when that shift took place, the whole game shifted. So the rules of the game have changed now, and you're not going to get where you want with the same approach that you were using in the past. The reason for this is that I'll try to keep this fairly short, but the three primary hormones that begin to decline in perimenopause, which can start anywhere from some women in their late 30s, usually it's early 40s to mid 40s or whatnot. But the three primary hormones are estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, which we think of as a lot of times a male hormone, but it's women actually have more testosterone than men do. In her functionality in the body. So testosterone is a very important thing for women. And the thing is that each one of these hormones has its own metabolic effect in your body. They're all designed for, part of what they do is they stimulate metabolism and fat burning. So as they begin to decline and your ovaries do not produce as much of these hormones as they used to, then your body becomes in kind of well, let's put it this way. You're now designed and set up to be a better fat storer than you are a fat releaser. And this is why that you have to have a new approach to this. And this is why you have to pay special attention to some of the certain systems in your body, particularly two that come to mind all the time are your thyroid function and the two little glands that sit on your kidneys called your adrenal gland. Because perimenopause and menopause, even though it's not a disorder, you're not broken. This is a natural occurrence that happens, throughout evolution. But it's the body views it as somewhat of a stress because of this change that is happening for you. The body has a response to stress, and a lot of times that is to overproduce a hormone from your adrenal glands called cortisol. Now, cortisol will make sure that you do not lose any fat at all, because cortisol is there to protect you from when your body is under some kind of stress, that your body believes that until this stress is over, we're not going to release energy. We're going to hold on to everything that we can. So if that's one of the issues for you, that you are living you find yourself in a high stressful situation or high stressful lifestyle or whatnot, you are producing an elevated amount of cortisol, which is putting the parking brake on your ability to lose fat. Now, that also interferes with the thyroid function, this gland that sits in the base of your throat that is responsible for getting into the cells and initiating there's a part of your cell inside your cell called your mitochondria, and that's where all of your fat burning really is initiated and takes place. So when perimenopause hits and cortisol levels go up, this suppresses the thyroid's ability to get inside of the cell to the mitochondria to burn energy. So, because what the thyroid does is it increases oxygen into the cells of your body, and without oxygen, you know that you can't burn anything. So, a fire needs oxygen in order to burn stuff. So, if you diminish the oxygen inside the cell, then your metabolic rate is going down because you don't have that blast furnace of fire to burn, to burn off extra body fat. So this is one of the most common issues that I see on a daily basis with women. And again, it sounds very doctory and very complicated and very medical and all of that stuff, but it's really not. It's these are things that can be addressed completely naturally to get a balance going back on between the thyroid and the adrenal, and to balance out your hormones. And we can do that through diet. We can do that through exercise. We can do that through nutritional supplementation. We can, at the top end of this hierarchy would be the use of bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, which is, we'll probably talk about this later, which is extremely safe. There's a lot of bad information out there leading people to be scared of some things that they don't need to be scared about. But so that's the reason why it's not as easy as it used to be. And what needs to happen for you, Jenny, is that you need to, through probably the guidance, to work with somebody for a minute. This is a hard thing to do by yourself using Google. Mm-hmm. But it's an easy solvable problem to get these things back into balance and functioning like they were when you were 35. And then you start to see that you do get the rewards for putting in the effort with the dietary approaches and things like that. So that was a long answer, but
Dr. J, do you think this is like a defense mechanism as well in women, that they tend to put on weight during perimenopause, menopause? Is it preparing us for something? Do you think, like evolutionary speaking, was this something, did this have a function?
it has a function in that it's a protection mechanism to keep the body vital with the density of nutrients that are in fat tissue are probably as strong as anything else. So to hold on to a little bit more body fat in menopause would be advantageous to the female body in the evolutionary, kind of progression. Now, it gets a little complicated because what's happened now is that women's life expectancy is going up at a rapid rate and has been for a long time now. So these were not issues that women really needed to deal with so much, 100 years ago. And now we've got, it's pretty common for a woman to live into her mid 80s, if not 90s, and approaching 100. And I believe that that's going to continue to go up for lots of different reasons. One is sanitary practices, um, uh, you know, better genetics, many different things that are leading us to live longer. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing or hard for women, is because if you're going to live to be 90 years old and you're going through menopause at 48 to 52, you're looking now for quality of life.
Absolutely.
So what you asked, Lynn, was there was a self-protective mechanism in here, but that was really designed for at a time where people's life expectancy was probably in their mid 50s to 60 years old. So this came out of, all of a sudden now you've got an extra 30 years on top of that. What are you going to do about the quality of your life when the thing that's missing a lot of times for the quality of life is you don't have that hormonal landscape that I talk about, balanced like it used to be in your early years, that led to, this all of the benefits of it, like anti-aging, longevity, or whatnot. This is why there's such an opportunity for women to take care of their hormones first, foremost. Yeah, because like you opened this thing up, Lucille, um, or Lynn, is that you're it's connected to every bit of the quality of your life, is how well your hormones are balanced.
Absolutely.
Your sleep habits, your body composition, your energy levels, your relationships, your on and on and on are all affected either negatively or positively by how good of a hormonal balance that you have in your body.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And as women, we are like the center of the family, and we are keeping the families together. So it's so important that your state of mind and your well-being, because if you're not healthy, you can't take care of your family. And if you're in a bad mood all the time and irritated all the time, that's going to rub off on your husband, on your children, and it's like a snowball effect through the whole family, which is not a good situation. So yeah, I absolutely totally understand the importance of this. And it starts almost in puberty, right? When we go through puberty, we go through this crazy time as well. That's really difficult for women. And then, menstruating every month. So it's like an ongoing struggle our whole lives. We're battling against the hormones. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure it is. And yeah, and it doesn't really have to be the issue it's become, because the reason that it gets to be such a problem is because of our lifestyle change. The foods that most people tend to put in their bodies today the amount of stress that people are under today, the nutrient deficiencies that people are experiencing today, the exogenous chemicals that are produced every day so that we have things like Tupperware and plastic and stuff to make our lives more convenient are all hormone disruptors.
Yes.
And so this is why we're seeing so much more of an issue for any of these changes, from puberty to what, why girls are getting their periods at 8 and 9 years old now instead of 14 years old now, is because there's so many estrogens in our environment that our body were never exposed to before. And it can be a real issue.
Yes, and we're completely disconnected from nature. We're inside these toxic homes with the non-native EMF and everything. And we talk about this a lot. And the reason we call the podcast Rewilded Human Podcast is to like get back to our roots, out into nature, how we are meant to live. And I'm sure like native tribes that are still living the ancient way are not experiencing the same kind of menopause and hormonal changes that Western women, right? I'm sure that's probably the case. Okay, so let's get to the next question. This is from Casey. I'm concerned about bone density as I approach menopause. How do changing hormone levels affect this? And can hormone therapy or dietary changes, help protect against osteoporosis? Great question, Casey. Thank you for that.
Yeah, great question. And the answer is that it's twofold. It's both what you can do dietarily and what I would highly encourage women to look into hormonally, because here's how this works. So again, the declining production of ovarian hormone supply, and we're basically talking about estrogen and progesterone at this point. So what we know about this is this. Estrogen will slow down the rate at which you're losing bone. And so this is why that many women were encouraged to go on estrogen in menopause when they had started showing signs of osteoporosis or osteopenia, was to put them on estrogen. But it doesn't do anything to solve this problem or deal with the root cause of this problem, but it will slow down the progression of this. What was missed, and this is a whole weekend seminar, but what was missed is that the other hormone, progesterone, that doesn't get a whole lot of press or play, is the hormone that actually causes your body to create the cells called osteoblasts and osteoclasts that produce new bone growth. So progesterone is the hormone that, if you are worried or showing any signs of becoming having brittle bones, or moving in a direction where your bones are becoming more porous or more weak, and that would be osteopenia moving towards osteoporosis, then bioidentical natural progesterone is going to be one of your best friends, because it's going to help you start producing bone again. Now, you might need actually some estrogen in there, but this is individual cases that you need a physician to help you make these decisions. Now, you also asked, what can you do nutritionally or dietarily? Well, the simple things that we know about this are vitamin D by far is directly related to bone mineralization. And the way that it does that is that vitamin D, which you either take in through your diet through fatty sources, you can get it from milk, you can get it from butter, you can get it from cod liver oil. You can, there are many different ways to get vitamin D. You can take vitamin D3 from, hopefully a good manufacturer of it, a pharmaceutical grade of it. And this helps your body build bone, and it helps your body utilize calcium to put the calcium inside the bone cells to get stronger bone. Mm-hmm. And then there are other nutrients that are in that same kind of fat soluble category that we call, so that would be vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K is one that most people don't hear a lot about. Vitamin K is, again, another source that usually, the best sources of it come from animal products rather than vegetable food, which also stimulates bone growth. So I guess what I'm basically saying is that this points in the direction that women who have this issue or have a family history of this issue or are concerned or want to get ahead of it and prevent this issue, then this is a reason why you would want to eat a higher protein diet with a good amount of animal protein in it, especially things like fish and even definitely red meats and things like this. This is not science right now. It will show, is showing very clearly that like a vegetarian or vegan diet would not be the diet of choice if you were wanting to establish bone integrity and bone regrowth and bone strength. That you're not going to get there just on a plant-based protein diet.
We agree completely, and the vegans will come out and they'll chew our heads off when they hear this, but that's reality.
I deal with that.
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger. And I think also sunlight is really important to get your vitamin D from sunlight as much as possible. And what do you think about weight training? Because weight training,
yes,
you're going to say that, Lucille, for bone density.
So strength training is the key in the department of exercise that you would want to focus on, because anytime that you are moving something heavy that is applying pressure on both the muscles and the bones that the muscles are attached to, that's the stimulation for the creation of new bone growth. Exactly. So it's essential. You're not going to get, not to say there isn't a place for cardio work in some people's lifestyles or whatnot, but there is always a place for strength training, especially as you get older. It is, it's a must. It's that you need to spend at least 2 to 3 sessions a week that are designed. They don't have to be long. They can be 15 to 20 minutes, but that the session is designed for you are trying to move heavy things so that your bones and muscles get stronger, because that is that is longevity medicine at its finest right there.
Yeah, we agree. We agree completely. Absolutely. Next question, Lucy.
Okay, so Casey.
Alex.
Alex, yeah. Alex asks, how can hormone replacement therapy impact women going through menopause? And are there specific considerations for those already on a low-carb diet?
I wonder if she's referring to HRT or bioidentical hormones, because there is a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to figure out the last piece of, is she asking, does the hormone replacement therapy interact with the low carb diet, or is she asking two separate questions?
Specific considerations for those. So if she's already on a low carb diet, will the hormone replacement therapy work differently through menopause? No, Lucy, I think that's kind of the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after doing this for 30 years, I'm a big believer in, I'm a big believer in what's the path of least resistance, and what is the way to get the goal that we're trying to accomplish. And if the goal can be accomplished through diet, great. If the goal needs diet plus some nutritional supplementation, great. That's what we'll need to do for a period of time. If they're at the point where they really need to have their hormones replenished, then I support and prescribe bioidentical HRT all the time, and it's a game changer. I mean, it's a game changer that I want women to understand that again, going back to what we talked about earlier, if you're going to prepare and hopefully live to 90, 95, 100 years old, then you're going to want to be all about quality of life. You're going to be wanting to be about what can you do to prevent as much as possible the oxidative stress that causes aging, that makes you look older and makes you frail and makes your bones weak or whatnot. And bioidentical hormone replacement therapy done correctly, working with the right doctor, it's a game changer for the better. And so I'm a big supporter of it. Now, I do believe that there are some things that are it's a complicated thing because just like everything else, there's just like you can go into a store now and buy something that says organic, and you find out later that the rules of the game are if 40% of the ingredients in the product are organic, you can still label it as organic. That goes on in the hormone world too. There are a lot of doctors who they don't even know it sometimes, who are prescribing what they believe to be bioidentical hormone, and it's not. It's still some kind of a form of something that your body does not recognize this as exactly what you produced in your body from your ovaries and from your uterine lining and from your adrenal glands and things like that. So you've got to be, you got to be sure that when you make that decision that you want the anti-aging, longevity, better sleeping, energetic, all the things that bioidentical hormone replacement therapy can do for you, that you're actually getting real, true, pure bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. But so how we tie that into here's the thing about the ketogenic diet. Did she specifically say keto?
Low carb diet.
Okay. All right. So there's a big difference today. I mean, as most people know, there are so many terms now. Low carb, there's keto, there's true keto. True keto is a very strict formulated diet of low carbohydrate, also pretty low protein, and then huge amounts of fat. And it's very beneficial for people who have neurological diseases like seizures or Alzheimer's or stuff like that. You're not going to find that to be a very beneficial diet for a menopausal woman who wants to lose 30 pounds, because you cannot, as these hormones have dropped now, you are, like I said, you're really excellent at storing fat now. So if you try to eat a high fat diet at a time where you don't have enough of these hormones to support the metabolism that you might have had when you were 25 or 30 years old, you're going to find that, oh, this isn't working for me. I'm actually gaining weight eating this way. And it's because there's no way for you to burn that much fat off before you start eating again the next day. So this is where we have to, kind of manipulate the diet for women going through peri and postmenopause and tell them that, yeah, you want to eat a low carbohydrate diet, you want to eat a high protein diet, and you want to eat a moderate fat diet, meaning that we don't want you eating a low fat diet at all. Mm-hmm. But there's no reason to add additional fat to like the
fat bombs. We were eating those fat bombs and everything. We were making them. I mean, I went through all of that. It's unnecessary.
It is. Or cooking a ribeye steak in a half a stick of butter. The ribeye steak has plenty of fat on it
Yes,
already. So,
absolutely.
you know, eat the fat that comes with the protein that you're eating, and stay away from this idea of trying to cram more fat into your diet. Um, it's just it's not beneficial for anybody who's probably over the age of 40.
Hmm.
45 certainly does
They
not
should
need to
really
be
focus
eating
on
a
the
high.
protein. They should be focusing on the protein instead. And that's the problem that I think that I'm seeing, that most women are just simply not getting enough protein. And
Right.
that's
And that's
ultimately
keeping
that's
them
why they're
hungry,
thin.
because
Yes.
protein is the most satiating nutrient that we really have to work with. So if you eat enough protein, it takes away that always thinking about food and when is the next time I'm supposed to eat food. So protein should be the leverage. We call it, you know, the leverage of the diet starts with prioritized protein, and then you can manipulate the other side of the diet, um, respectively, by going, if you want to eat more fat one day, uh, and you're prioritizing protein and that's going to be high, then you can eat a little bit more fat in your diet by dropping your carbohydrate down to very, very low. Maybe even don't eat any carbs that day. You can afford to eat more fat. The same is true for if you want a little bit more carbohydrate in your diet. Maybe you want to have a meal where you get to enjoy a little bit of, you know, a few new red potatoes, or a little bit of sweet potato or something like that. Then what you have to do that day is you have to really control your fat intake and keep that low, keep protein high, and you'll be able to eat a little bit more carbohydrate without that messing up and, you know, shifting you into a metabolic state where you're going to be storing that as fat tissue. So it sounds a little bit complicated, but it doesn't take long to like kind of get this, you know, and realize that you really do have your fingers on the dials
Mhm.
of how you want to your life and your day to be experienced, and the way to eat that produces the results that you're really looking for. This is what we try to teach.
No, I love that. And this is the advice that I give people as well. You know, get your protein in first. Once you've had your 130, 150 grams of protein, then you can worry about everything else. Then see if you still want carbs. I mean, you're going to be full. You're not going to want to eat that bread and
Right.
that pasta. Eat the protein first. So for those people that are still eating the carbs and everything, but get the protein in, because the more carbs you're eating, the less protein you're going to get, right? It's going to be mostly the potatoes and then a little bit of meat. So I think for
Exactly.
those people that are still focused on carbs, it's impossible to get your protein, daily required protein
I agree.
intake in, which is quite sad. Okay, so we'll get to
Could I,
the next.
sorry, can I just
Yeah.
ask one question though? If a woman is going to her doctor and she's having these issues, and the doctor suggests hormone replacement therapy, what are the basic questions that a woman needs to ask to determine what exactly is he offering? Like, is he offering bioidenticals? What is he offering? And then are there questions about the quality of the bioidenticals and that sort of thing? And testing, just some basic questions so a woman knows, get some more informed consent.
Great question.
Yeah, all of that really comes up. One would be, you know, what, first of all, asking the doctor, you know, you've hired them. They work for you, right? And a lot of people don't get this concept. You know, you can fire your doctor anytime you want to. But and you, meaning you also have the right to come prepared to drill this person if you have to or whatnot. Of, okay, why are we doing, why you're suggesting we do this? Why is that? Um, and you know, where's the sourcing? If you're going to recommend hormones to me, where's the sourcing of this hormones? Is this bioidentical hormone? Because here's, you know, where a lot of women are getting messed up is that they get put on something called a progestin instead of progesterone, and doctors um, usually don't spend enough time studying it themselves, but they would, if, you know, question about it, usually they'll say, "Oh, you know, don't worry about it. It's like, it's just like progesterone." No, it's not. not anything like progesterone that your body produces at all. And it can complicate all kinds of things. So you would want to make sure that, one of the first questions I would ask a doctor is, okay, you're recommending HRT for me. Let's talk about what's the source of progesterone you're using. If he comes up with some kind of progestin, no, thank you. I don't want anything to do with that. And then the other things I would be looking at is all too quickly now the doctors that are in alignment and I applaud them on this to some degree that are moving in the direction of supporting hormone therapy again. But they're all often way too quick to put a woman. They're going, okay, we're going to use HRT, so let's just throw in there testosterone with the estrogen and the progesterone. Well, that's a very, very that's something that definitely you need to question your doctor about. Because to put a woman on an exogenous form of testosterone is a potential real big issue. Now, if she can be shown that she has a deficiency of basically free testosterone is what you'd want to get tested. They're usually are just running total testosterone, but that's not telling you a whole lot. You want the free testosterone, and if you can show that the person is truly deficient in free testosterone, then all right, you've got one check made that there is a conversation to be had here about testosterone therapy. But then there's a lot of other conversations about why can we not utilize the body to produce more of its own testosterone by using something that would be a precursor in the body to testosterone. That would be something like DHEA. There's a number of botanical extracts that cause your both ovaries and adrenal glands to produce more of your own testosterone. That's always a better idea than to put a woman on exogenous testosterone, because if you give a woman too much testosterone, you're going to run the risk of problems like breaking down bone too quickly, aggression, hair growth in places that she doesn't want it anymore, just not feeling herself at all, very irritable.
I've been there.
Stuff like that.
I was given testosterone like this was 2011 it was BHRT was just coming on the market and doctors were just starting, and my hair started falling out. I got acne. I got aggressive.
Yep.
It was crazy after a few weeks I stopped, but the effects were insane, how quickly it can just change your body, your moods, everything completely. I became like bulky and muscular, and it was supposed to be like this very low dose, but I don't know if he mixed it up or it just was not right for me in any way at all. So you guys really do need to be careful with that. So
I had the same experience. But I was given a triple hormone cream. So it had testosterone in it, and I was given DHEA at the same time. And I was amazed by how masculinized my characteristics became after, a fairly short time on it.
Wow.
So
that's really scary. And that can easily turn women off hormones completely, where it could be very beneficial if you're in the right hands. Dr. J, do you recommend blood tests or saliva tests? What kind of testing do you do for your patients?
I think blood tests are becoming obsolete. I mean, what we're seeing now is that when you try to test let's say a female's hormones via blood, what you're seeing is something that's traveling from one place to another, meaning that it's already been called on some tissue has called on, we need more estrogen. So what you're picking up is that this is a estrogen molecule that's already been bound to a carrier protein that is heading to somewhere that it needs to get to. It tells you nothing about what your reserve levels of estrogen are. You could only have as much estrogen as you can find in your blood draw and have no more after that. So you're not getting an accurate picture at all through blood for most hormones at all. Next would be saliva is a pretty good um, rep. You get a pretty good accurate picture for the hormones that saliva are good for picking up, such as cortisol, DHEA, pregnenolone, progesterone. So I do support saliva testing. I think that now, the way things stand right now, and this will probably change in the next few years, or quicker. But right now, the gold standard is something called the Dutch test, and the Dutch test is a test where they mail you a kit to your house. You take a urine sample, and you mail that back to the lab, and they take that urine sample and they first of all they they extract all the water out of it, and then they dehydrate it, freeze dry it, and then break it apart. And they pick apart the metabolites of all of your hormones, and you get a much better representation because how much metabolite showed up in your urine of something like testosterone or cortisol or progesterone or any of these things is a very, very accurate way to know how much of this hormone you have in your body, not only running through your bloodstream, but stored away in tissues of your body and how much you're using of it and whatnot. So that's the gold standard. It's called the Dutch test. It's that's what I prefer if I really want to go after testing and look at a map of a woman and go, let's take a look at what your entire hormonal makeup looks like right now at whatever age you are, 48, 55, whatever. I would probably go, let's get the Dutch test because it's going to give the doctor all the information and more than they need in order to make decisions based on what they want to do.
So is that where you would start? Like if a patient comes to see you, you would start with the testing or with questions or an evaluation?
Yeah, I've been doing this so long now that I rely a lot less on testing now than I certainly would have 20 years ago. To the point where I feel like, yeah, I still do testing, and there are times where I will tell a patient we need to start with a Dutch test or something like that. But 98% of the time, I begin working with a patient basically with just a really detailed interview. I have, over the years put together a specifically way of asking the questions that will lead a patient to tell me kind of right where we need to go. They'll give me the information that will be able for me to go, okay, we're looking at progesterone deficiency with an estrogen dominant situation, and the estrogen dominance is blocking thyroid to get into the cells of the body, and that's why you can't lose weight, and you're continuing to gain weight, and you're not sleeping well, and you're anxious all the time. So I rely more on patient interaction and letting them give me their story and what their experience is, and then me asking the questions that lead me to go, I see it. I see where the pathways are not in the balance that they should be. And we begin our kind of, I build them out a protocol of here's how we're going to remedy that. We're going to put that in. And I utilize diet, I utilize nutritional supplementation, a lot of times bioHRT, exercise, things like that. So I do it more of that than I do beginning with, okay, let's go run a battery of tests and then we're going to treat you based on trying to bring any numbers that aren't in balance. We're going to try to align them back into where they should be. I don't find that to be an effective way to practice medicine at all. So.
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. Absolutely. Okay, let's see the next question we have from Joy. I'm in perimenopause and gaining weight like crazy, even though I eat the same and still exercise regularly. What am I doing wrong, and is there help? So this is very similar to Jenny's question, but this is very common. But I think a lot of women are actually blaming themselves that they're doing something wrong. They start restricting their diet and eating less and less and less calories all the time, or exercising more. And I don't know if there's anything new that we can tell Joy, but
yeah, that's a tough one, because this is where it gets to be the point where as a physician, I try to steer away from giving advice to someone that I've never met before. So if she's tried, first and foremost, I would say you need to manage stress in your life for sure. You need to keep your cortisol levels down.
What's your favorite
if
way to
you
manage
are
that
having issues,
for stress
what's that?
management? What is your favorite way of stress management?
Being outdoors, exercising of any type, meditation, journaling. I think journaling is a fantastic way to lower cortisol levels, to wake up each morning and make your coffee or whatever, and spend a little bit of time of writing about what you're grateful in your life for right now or whatnot. And if you add that to a little bit of a meditation practice, and then you get outside and get some sunshine and take a walk. These those are the best case things. Now, then there's also therapeutics. You can use things like the whole system of Ayurvedic medicine has some wonderful botanicals like ashwagandha and rhodiola or whatnot that will they're called adaptogens.
Dr. J, you froze.
Frozen.
Yeah. Let's see. Hopefully he comes back.
Cause the adrenal glands you need to do a couple of things. You need to manage stress. You need to eat a low carb, higher protein diet. And then if you're already doing that and you're not making any progress, you need to get professional help. You need to reach out to somebody who does what I do, or somebody locally to them or whatnot, and get a coach for a little bit of time to get you on track. And then you can go out and do it by yourself. But I find so many women and men as well who are trying to do this all by themselves, by just through social media.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out on Twitter of what I'm doing wrong and how I should turn this all around. And it's probably not the best idea.
No. And they can basically, women can reach out to you from anywhere in the world, right? You're able to help them remotely.
I work worldwide through video consultations, just like we're kind of doing right now.
So Joy, reach out to Dr. J and he's going to help you.
And another thing too that is so key, I find, is sleep.
Yes.
For stress reduction. It balances everything out, and so few of us do it properly. But it's absolutely key.
It's true. And if you go to a normal doctor, he's not going to ask you about your sleep patterns at all, right?
Exactly.
And it's so crucial. Right. It's so crucial.
And it's one of the first things that begins to get disrupted when the hormones change is the inability to sleep as well as you used to. And so you're exactly right, Lucille, that sleep is key, and it's usually that people will let it go on far too long without getting good night's sleep, and then you're wrecking all of these other hormonal systems that are having to adapt to not enough sleep. So sleep is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so shall we go on to the next one? This comes from Morgan. Is there a natural approach to balancing hormones during menopause? And how effective are these methods compared to traditional hormone replacement therapy?
So I think we already covered some of this.
Yes.
Yeah, I would. So I'll make that quick and go. It sounds like if we won't talk about hormone replacement therapy, whether it be bioidentical or conventional HRT, because it seems to be self-evident in the question. Yes, there are ways of balancing hormones using nutrition and nutritional supplementation. to a certain extent. There gets to be a point where you're not going to be able to do that just through those two methods of diet and nutritional supplementation. And at that point, you're going to either have to be satisfied with the quality of life that you have without hormone replacement, or choose hormone replacement, and you would want to choose bioidentical hormone replacement.
Okay. And with the bioidentical hormones, are you able to ship them to people all over the world, or would they have to source it locally? You would give them a prescription? How does that work?
We have our own pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
It does come from the United States, so it's we can get it to anybody anywhere. Sometimes people live in countries or whatnot that it gets a little bit more complicated, but we do so much of this that we're gonna find the solution to getting it to the people who need it. Now, I'm also open to looking at what they have locally and what can we source locally, and do you have an open-minded doctor that I can work with and go, listen, can you write this script for this person in Dubai, that if I do it, if I try to get it to what I want to get to them myself, we might be looking at, it might take 6 weeks to get them what they need, whereas you could have them walk across the street. So I'm open-minded to any way we can play and get the job done.
Yeah, that's fantastic. No, that's really good.
Okay. Yeah.
So the next question we have from Jamie. Since I've hit menopause, I can't sleep. We just mentioned sleep. Do you have any tips that can help? I feel like I've tried everything. What are your favorite tips for sleep?
My go-to is natural progesterone cream rubbed into your neck right before you go to bed.
Oh, on the neck.
By far, that's a game changer for most every woman who's going through perimenopause and into postmenopause. Other things would be magnesium glycinate is a wonderful supplement to take before you go to bed at night. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and it relaxes the nervous system. So I love magnesium glycinate. There's a amino acid that comes in a supplement forward called L-theanine, which is wonderful to help people sleep. And then there's to look at, is there anything that you're doing on a daily basis that you need to quit doing? Like, are you drinking caffeine too late in the day? Are you doing anything to contribute to this? Do you need better sleep habits, like creating an environment that doesn't have blue light TV sets and laptops around you and things like that? But there's a lot of things you can do to sleep better. And I love working with people who are having sleep issues, especially women going through perimenopause and into menopause, because there's always a simple fix for this.
Yes, I have all of those things. I was just looking, I have all the supplements that you just mentioned. I've got my sleep pharmacy here ready to go.
Right.
But yeah, sleep is so important. I absolutely understand. But those are some really great tips.
So our next question comes from Melanie. I've been researching the keto diet and started getting really confused. I read about the Randall cycle and how some experts claim that being on a high-fat or high-carb diet causes a stress response in the body that isn't good for our health. What's the truth?
So the truth is that neither one of those would be a good idea for anybody, to be on a high fat. Now, again, if you heard what we were speaking about earlier, if you had some type of a neurological issue like seizures or Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's, or know somebody who does, they can get a huge benefit out of eating a very low carb diet and a very high fat diet at the same time. Other than that, I don't see this as a benefit to anybody at all. I think that what we've been trying to point out, and that we're all in agreement with here, is that, and first let me throw in there that you would never want to eat a high carbohydrate diet. That's what has led us into the disaster that we're seeing worldwide today with diabetes, and inflammatory responses that are leading to cardiovascular disease and cancer and stuff like that. So you don't, for most people, you would not want to eat an excessively high carbohydrate diet or an excessively high fat diet, except for that one exception with neurological issues. So if you've been paying attention here, what I support and what I have found that my colleagues here also support too is what you would want to do is to position your diet to be to prioritize protein, to eat a protein rich diet as rule number one in the diet, and then allow the accessory macros, the carbohydrates and the fat to play more of keep the carbs on the low side. So you're eating a low carb, higher protein diet. And then with the fat, we would want you to moderate the fat. No need to eat either a low fat diet because you need fat to drive your hormones, to do all kinds of things, but no need to eat a high fat diet either, especially if you're anywhere between 40 and the rest of your life. What I use in my practice is what's called low carb, high protein, moderate fat diet. That's where you're going to find your sweet spot in order to keep yourself hormonally balanced and keep your metabolism healthy.
Yeah, we agree completely.
Very
That brings us to the last question. This is from Denise. Can you speak about the hormonal changes that men go through as they age? My husband used to be so active and sexually driven until his middle years. Then he started becoming lazy, grumpy, and not so interested in sex. I miss the man I married. Yeah, I can relate to this. I think a lot of women can. So what do we do with the guys?
Yeah.
Is there any hope for them?
Absolutely. It's not that different, to tell you the truth. Men are going through, what we call andropause or male menopause, just like women do. It presents a little bit different, and it's not so centered around estrogen. But they go through a decline in the production of, of their testosterone levels. And just like a woman can get hormonally out of balance because of environmental factors and get herself into an estrogen dominant state with low progesterone, and that's causing weight gain through thyroid disruption. It works the same with men, because what will happen with men is if they're not taking care of themselves and their testosterone levels are beginning to drop, what the body will do is start taking the little bit of testosterone that they have and converting it into estrogen. And you can see these men all over the place. These are the men who've got like man
boobs, yeah,
and and the bellies, and they're usually beer drinkers because that's killing off that's what killed their testosterone and caused the testosterone to get converted into estrogen. And that's causing all kinds of problems with libido, sex drive, ambition, certainly not helping their waistline at all, or sleep or moods. It can be done. Usually men respond very quickly to being able to do hormonal balancing through lifestyle changes and don't need to jump right into like hormone replacement therapy. But there is hormone replacement therapy available for those men who truly, like we talked about earlier, if you can truly take a man, test his free testosterone levels, and they are way out of range on the low side, then doing something to stimulate testosterone by either using a supplement like DHEA to help the body produce more testosterone, or giving, this man, might be a prime candidate for actually testosterone therapy. So, yeah, there's a lot that can be done, and men need to wake up and realize that the women in their life are tired of them just letting themselves go and be couch potatoes.
Yeah, I agree. So if somebody wanted to order like a bucket of testosterone for their husband, where would one find that?
Right.
Hypothetically speaking.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
No, that's
Now, a lot of that is done. Again, that can be done, not buckets of testosterone, but it takes a level of commitment to.
yes.
This is where you get a lot of that. A lot of that can be solved in the gym. For men to be able to work large muscle groups, which causes the body to respond by producing so much more testosterone and so much more human growth hormone, which is going to lead to them feeling manly again, and clean their diet up and get on a low carbohydrate, higher protein diet. Those two things right there, solve 90% of the problem. Then if they need some additional work to produce more testosterone through supplementation or actually being on testosterone gel or something like that, then that's available as well.
I guess it's like a vicious cycle, because they lose the motivation, and then they lose the motivation to work out and to eat properly, and then testosterone plummets even more, and then it's kind of hard to get out of this, to motivate your man to actually do something. Dr. J, tell us where people can find you, how they can get in contact with you if they want to do a consultation or learn more about what you're doing, your supplements, everything.
Sure. Well, the easiest would be, in probably where the bulk of the information would be, on my website, and that's simply drjwrigley.com.
Okay.
And then you're going to find me on most of the social media platforms, and my call name, I guess they say, or whatnot, is at hormone diet doc. So if you look at Twitter or Instagram or the other ones that were on Pinterest or whatever they may be, I let Heidi run
Heidi
most
takes
with
care
that.
of that.
But it's all at hormone diet doc is where you're going to find me on social media. And come take a look at what we do, what we specialize in, and how what we're driven by is creating success stories. I'm at that point in my career now where I don't have to do this anymore. What gets me excited is I like to see someone to help coach them to be that next, wow, look what happened to me in 4 months. And the before and after pictures are just a transformation of, I got my life back.
Wow.
And I feel better. I sleep better. I've got energy. I lost the weight. My sex drive is good, and I'm happy. And now I want to go tell everybody else about it. That's what excites me, and that's what I enjoy doing now.
That's amazing. And we are so inspired by you. No, Lucille. Really.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we didn't get to talk about it, but I know that you have your own personal journey of rejuvenating yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I'll have to come back on as a guest sometime after.
Absolutely.
We would love many other guests.
We'd love to talk to you again. And Dr. J is also part of my age-defying video program, so you guys can also check that out and learn more from him in my video program. Dr. J, thank you so much, and we would love to have you back in the future. I'm sure this will be a very exciting episode for everyone to watch, and we enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yes, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. J. Thank you so much.
All right, ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Please be aware that Lynn and I are here to provide insights, advice, stories that are for educational and entertainment purposes only. None of our content should be considered to be personal, medical, or mental health therapy. If you are experiencing a mental health or physical health challenge, please consult the appropriate healthcare specialist. We are here to provide the best possible content in an atmosphere of positive conversation and personal growth.